So, anyways, we are literally live right now, and I watched the Nintendo Direct while I was at work. So, just so we get a little bit of perspective on what was shown, we have two new fighters and some echoes. Now, the two new ones are kind of expected. K. Rool, which I did call, and I wanted. What is up, Dice Golden? And then we also had Castlevania, which was kind of leaked the day before for Simon Belmont. For whatever reason, they went and low-key put a video up and then taken it down shortly after. I believe the song was Tears of Blood. I'm not 100% sure on that one, but they did that. And they also did a lot of weird stuff in between, but they never really expressed a whole lot. Now, they kind of went and said, don't expect a whole lot of new characters. So, as far as that goes, I believe with all the characters we've been shown so far, that does equal 9, I believe. Because King K. Rool, Chrom, Simon, Richter, and Dark Samus, that's 5 that were in this. However, it just doesn't make any sense that they would skip certain things. But as far as new characters go, I have a feeling there's something up Sakurai's sleeve and the devs team's sleeve that we're not entirely seeing, and I'm going to be a little skeptical about that because they said about halfway through there's more characters coming. However, only Dark Samus and K. Rool appeared after that. And then B, there was nothing. And then C literally points at DLC characters. Now, as far as DLC characters go, we know they're coming. Same with DLC stages. According to them, there's 103 stages, and if you combine them all, times that by 3, that's about 300 some odd stages that have different appearances and things that can happen. However, the weird part about that when they were saying all this stuff is K. Rool, he pretty much doesn't have a stage of his own, and I can see why, because it's kind of like a Wind Waker, to be honest, because of Donkey Kong Country. The other things that I'd like to point out is pretty much everybody called Dark Samus being an Echo Fighter. We knew that was going to happen, but Chrom, for whatever reason, he looks like an Echo Fighter, and I'm not going to call him a new fighter, because I'm not willing to bet on it, but I will say he does look extremely like 3 different characters. He's got a moveset from Ike, Marth, Lucina, and also Roy himself. He's pretty much every Fire Emblem character thrown into a ball, and then he's the end result. Other than Corrin, I didn't exactly see him doing anything Corrin does. However, I'm pretty sure within the series those two are far and vastly different from each other, so I'm 90% sure that's why we did not actually see them to that point of going, oh, guess what? Chrom can do this, and Corrin can do the same thing. That's pretty much what I'm getting at, because I'm 90% sure in their series they're in 2 different games, so they don't talk to each other, so I'm pretty sure in that perspective that makes sense. But King K. Rool and that blunderbuss, that was actually nice to see. However, when they trolled us, my face was exact of Donkey Kong's at that point in time, because I wasn't expecting to see DDD under it, and a bunch of people, for whatever reason, were going, it's going to be Waluigi. Man. That really was a kicker. However, like I said a minute ago, I'm 90% sure there's more fighters coming that haven't been shown yet because the game has not officially gone gold. And Sakurai himself said they're still working on the game. Therefore, characters can still be coming. There's another chance of another direct. If I was going to take a bet as to when the next direct for that would be, I'd say it's right around the same time the Pokemon Direct's going to happen. So I'd say more or less year end, around there, November, October-ish area. Other than that, there's a lot of things that they didn't exactly say. For example, one of the modes that was blurred out, if you look at the English and Japanese, when they're blurred out, they resembled the word spirit. A lot of people have pointed that out since the Nintendo Direct has ended. So I'm 90% sure that that's going to be something similar to the Subspace Emissary. However, I think if they're going to do it this way, it's more or less going to be along the lines of what we've seen with Simon Belmont, and forgive me for not knowing that character's name because I haven't played a whole lot of Castlevania. But the Reaper thing, I want to say Death, but I know that's not correct because that's Marvel Comics. However, that portion there is probably to the point of that's how they're going to turn into souls for that spirit mode. Like, it's kind of interesting to look at it because it's green. Most people, when they look at spirits in games, that's like greenish. Not really reddish or whitish. It's more green tinted sort of deal there. A couple of other things I want to mention is they didn't show all of the stages. There's a couple of spots in that banner that they showed with every character where a few are missing still. Because there's large gaps that still haven't been filled. A lot of people were speculating about the first time that they did that. Everybody's like, okay. For example, when you look at where Dark Samus is, you can easily place a character below that person's legs. And it's kind of interesting that they went and chose Crystal as an assist trophy, but mind you, that makes sense because he got Andross. They also show that you can have more than one assist trophy active at the same time. I believe the ones that they chose to show was the Moon from The Legend of Zelda. Yeah, the Moon from Majora's Mask. And then man, what was the other one? He's a fighting character. That's all I can remember. I don't think it was Alucard. No, it wouldn't have been Alucard, but there was another one on stage at the same time. So it's showing that you can have more than one at the same time. Zero is now official as an assist trophy. And then you got Shovel Knight, which everybody was hoping for. And they did fan service, even though you can't technically play as them. However, my boy Banjo-Kazooie was completely out the window for that. But the other thing I want to mention is during their final statements, they didn't really say that's all, because generally when they end it, they say that's everything for now, but then they're like, oh, spirit mode. And there's more characters to be announced, but in this 24-minute video, we're not going to show you every last character that's actually in the game, even though we had priorly stated we're going to show every character that's in the game. They kind of pulled an Ed Boon there and trolled us. And I think it's kind of funny because Sakurai isn't really known for doing that. But as far as stuff being leaked, they did an excellent job of showing what they meant for a lot of things. But I still felt like the Direct could have gone a little bit longer. Because some of the characters, even though they were great and spot on, had a couple of difficulties here and there with, I don't want to say costume design, I just want to say their choice of movement. King K. Rool, for example, he more or less does that crawl shuffle thing in most Donkey Kong games, so that made perfect sense for them to use that. However, Dark Samus floating around like a magician or whatever kind of didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. However, I'm aware in some of the games Dark Samus has done that, and it makes most sense that Dark Samus is an Echo Fighter because they pretty much have the same moveset as Samus herself. So that makes a lot of sense. But I don't know. I still kind of prefer Zero Suit Samus being alternate costume for Samus, even though I guess they're two separate characters now. I'm 90% sure as well there's more Echo Fighters to be announced. However, I think some of them are going to be DLC, and some of them are going to be hidden to launch, because as they've pointed out, there's certain things that are going to be hidden at launch. You can unlock everything in the game. However, the DLC, obviously, you're going to end up paying for, and I believe that will also be over and above if you're playing online for what were they calling it? Was like a pass or something. It's a membership. I'm 90% sure that membership is going to correlate to whether or not people are playing online more prominently. However, the main thing to point out about that entire direct, and I keep on sounding like a broken record, is literally the characters. They never said, hey, guess what? That's the end of the character list. No, they didn't even show us the full character select screen, so you know they're hiding something tricky up their sleeve. Sakurai is known for that, as he's done with Melee, as he's done with Brawl, and as he's done with Smash 4. They didn't show all the songs either. A lot of the stages weren't shown that are going to be implemented. And there's just a whole lot of different things that don't make sense at this point in time, and I'm pretty sure whenever they go to announce whatever's next, they're going to show it in that, but it's kind of hit and miss in those kinds of spots, whether or not we're going to see one character versus another character, or a new character versus a new stage sort of thing. Because as we've seen Super Mario himself, I guess I'll just say Mario, has an Odyssey stage, and apparently you can attack the characters to make them sing and play their instrument, apparently. So you got that jazz thing happening there. And pretty much that's all I can say, is there's a lot of stuff that they didn't show, from music to stages to characters to items to a lot of different things, and I'm still heavily banking on there's more characters going to be in the game. However, not final roster yet, and DLC characters. Now, the DLC characters, if I'm going to take a random guess, I'm going to say we're probably going to get, judging by how many were in Smash 4, I'm going to take a guess and say we're going to get about 10 fighters that are DLC by the end of next year. That's my guess, but to expand that a little farther, I'm going to say within the next 2 years I expect that many new DLC characters, because it takes a while for them to balance it, and I'm still kind of eerie about the entire Simon thing, because he's got a lot farther reach than every other character, but he's kind of Ganondorf pace, if that makes any sense. And King K. Rool is pretty much an overgrown Bowser at this point in time. And as we've seen in that one spot, he did grow, but I don't think that's due to an ability. I think they just had him pick up a mushroom and then run back to Donkey Kong and Diddy at that point in time. However, thank you guys for watching, and as always, have a fantastic 2018, and if you're not, I hope it gets better for you sooner rather than later. Peace out, and I will see you guys tomorrow in a live stream, and hopefully it doesn't lag like a mother trucker this time, like it did last time. And thank you guys for joining.
Sick day.